The Jake Wallman era starts in Edmonton tonight as the newest Oilers defenseman set to make his debut wearing number 96 for the Edmonton Oilers, the first player in team history to do so. As the Oilers get set for a matchup against the Dallas Stars, the newly acquired Mikko Rantanen, who could have also possibly worn number 96 for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get into that in a couple minutes. But hello, what up, and welcome to Pregaming with Bordzy, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant. Pregaming is also a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today because whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Let's check in with the chat because, people, it's Saturday night. Hockey night in Canada, the late game. The boys are buzzing, and as Connor McDavid said a million times earlier today, I'm excited for this one. I'm excited for Jake Wallman. Mr. Burns kicked it off, said, let's go Oilers. Nothing like a couple shiny new players to get excited about. Dylan's in. Let's go Oilers. Cup, yeah. Bella is also in, like Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Whoa, I'm excited for tonight's game, Panger. I love it. We're not in the same room together. You can still give me my background vocals as well. Kiana, she's in. Happy game day. Who's ready for some good hockey on a Saturday night? Cup, yeah. Give it to me.
Cup, yeah.
There it is. Riders in. Wallman,
Cup,
the
yeah.
best player to wear 96 LFG. Sasky, I hope Dallas's new expensive toy is dull and boring. He was pretty dull and boring for the Carolina Hurricanes. So here's to hoping he does the same tonight. Lance is in with a cup, yeah. Austin's in. He gives
Cup,
me a little
yeah.
Bordzy, load the nation beer and get this party started, baby. And then Oilers Go came in at 7:01. And he said, start the show already. Give us a grace period, my brother. We're coming at you. We're pre-gaming. Austin, don't worry, one step ahead of you. The Nation Beer Everyday Lager is going down smooth. You know, you can get them 2 locations in the Edmonton area. Find them downtown location or the Ritchie location, or check liquorconnect.com for some Odd Company Nation Beer. As you can tell by the man on the screen, I am joined this evening by Sean Pang and Eben Pangsy, Panger, pre-gaming with Bordzy and Pangsy, like it was pre-gaming with Bordzy and Coombsy on Thursday night. But Panger, this is your first ever pre-gaming after dark when we're not in the studio, which thank you for doing so, being so accommodating. I think the entire Nation Network's pretty exhausted after what went down yesterday. But the one thing I'm disappointed about, every single time we watch games together, brother, you bring a charcuterie smorgasbord of snacks. You've literally brought meat, cheese, pickle platters. You've brought chips with salsa and nacho cheese dip, separate containers as well. So, Panger, 2 questions. A, how we doing? How's everything going on in the world? And B, what is on the menu at the Pang and Eben residence tonight?
I'm doing great. I just want to forewarn you, this is not a cold sore. I got hit with in the face by a hockey stick, so that's a bruise there. So my mouth, I can't chew very hard, but my wife brought home some Cadbury mini eggs, so that is a snack for tonight.
Dude, Cadbury mini eggs. Let me know in the chat. Are you a Easter cream egg or a mini eggs guy? I'm a mini eggs guy through and through. Also, if you've ever had the tiny mini eggs, those ones I feel like are even better, but you straight up cannot go wrong. I'm loving the energy in the chat right now. They're saying, welcome, Panger. Big Pang in here as well. But before we talk about the Edmonton Oilers, the trade deadline yesterday, and everything that went down, I want to take a moment here and talk about the show that we put on yesterday for Daily Face-Off Live. I hope a number of you tuned in. I told you all for the last 2 weeks because it was an eventful day, to say the least, at the Nation Network. 5 straight hours of live trade deadline coverage on the DFO YouTube. Shout out to the entire Nation Network. And I mean countrywide, even down south, as Matthew Barnaby and Nate Thompson were both joining from the States. Both of them were also awesome guests with some great stories, which is kind of what you expect from 2 players like that. But dude, it was all hands on deck yesterday. Everybody in the company. It's truly incredible to be a part of something like that. It's still blows my mind that they let me in charge of that entire thing, produce and direct the entire thing. That's wild. We did I think, a pretty bang up job. So shout out to everybody on the team. I can't tell you, you guys see the live product of what goes down there, but the behind the scenes work, the preparation to build a show like that. Shout out to technical producer Nick Caroli, because me and him put in, I can't even tell you how many hours, weeks in ahead to build that show. It's all meticulous little tiny things to make it look as sick as it did. And it looked damn beautiful yesterday. But shout out to everybody, right? That's the writing team, the social team, the clipping team, the everything, the technical team as well. And also, big shout out to Patrick Puff, who is producing tonight behind the scenes of pre and post, because he was my right-hand man the entire day. I can't do anything that I do without my boy Patrick Puff. That goes for everybody, but Pat specifically. And then there's your graphics team, your marketing team. Shout out marketing Maddie, Eric as well. And then Tyler Emshuck did an incredible job hosting that show for 5+ straight hours. It got pretty dull there for 45 minutes to an hour of no action, no trades. But Tyler kept it spicy. Frank Cervoli up in the insider cam, breaking trades straight for 5 hours. All three of us, no piss breaks for over 5 hours. So let me tell you, felt pretty good after that show was over. Last year, the show did 38,000, I believe, views on YouTube. An hour after the show yesterday, I was looking. Wow. It was at 85,000 views on YouTube, over 300,000 on the Daily Faceoff Twitter channel as well. Shout out to the Nation Network, because we is up to the moon, baby. Banger, did you get a chance at all to watch yesterday's show? And tell me what you thought. And then we'll talk about the day in general. But the production, everything that went into it, shout out to the whole team.
Absolutely, I tuned in. You guys did a stand-up job, like Bordzy saying, from everybody, from the production team to the marketing team to the writers to the hosts. You guys did a phenomenal job. And like you said, I mean, what an increase, 50,000 in a year. You know, I've been with the Nation Network probably just over a year now, and just seeing what you guys did and have done and continue to do, it just makes me proud to be a part of this team as well.
Yeah, I like it from here. Sports Beard on X says, couldn't agree more, Bordzy. I watched the whole 5 hours. You guys did an incredible job. I appreciate you for tuning in. I hope you threw down your courtesy like as well. Maynard, 5 hours, no pre-break, Bella, bladders of steel, embarrassed American, stick taps to the Gatorade bottle. It didn't happen, but I had a bottle ready to go. If we needed to get to that point, I was fully prepared to do what I needed to do, but we got some stick taps in here as well. Also, I think we got a little bit of a delay between me and Panger. Bear through us with everything. We'll be absolutely fine through this one. But
yeah,
yesterday was a quieter day than usual for most trade deadlines, right? I said it all week. It's kind of like, hey, GM, slow your roll down a little bit. I got 5 hours of coverage to do on Friday. Try and hit some of those during the day. But there was no bigger trade than one that came in very late in the day, and Brad Marchand to the Florida Panthers. It still hasn't really processed inside my brain. The Bruins trading the face of their franchise, the captain of a legendary team, to their rival in the Florida Panthers in division team. It's a little bit crazy. I do think, and the return wasn't that great as well, but I think this was an effort of Don Sweeney trying to do right by the captain of his team, a guy who's been in the organization for a very long time. Trading him, you don't think that hurt Don Sweeney to have to deal Brad Marchand to their number one rival? Maybe number two, only team worse would have been the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he already did a deal with them in one Brandon Carlo. But I think it's a good thing for Brad Marchand here. He's obviously going to quite the contender in the Florida Panthers. I mean, dude, Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk, Sam Bennett, for 3 pests of all pests during the NHL playoffs. You still got Alex Barkov. You got 50 goal scorer Sam Reinhart. You got Aaron Ekblad, Gustav Forsling. You add in Seth Jones at $7 million cap hit. You still got Sergei Bobrovsky. That team scares the ever-loving shit out of me, and obviously they beat the Oilers in 7 games last season. Without a doubt in the East, I think the Florida Panthers had the best trade deadline by far. In the West, it's still up for debate. The Avs, the Dallas Stars. I think it's probably between those two teams. But that Brad Marchand deal shook the NHL yesterday. It was nuts. And brother, get this. The Panthers play the Bruins in Boston, in TD Garden on Tuesday night. Boy, oh boy, is the NHL in a great place ever since the Four Nations break. Panger, what did you think of Brad Marchand going to the Florida Panthers of all teams?
Just when I thought it was an amazing trade deadline day. Sorry, guys, with the glitch. Just when I thought it was an amazing trade deadline day, the Boston Bruins go ahead and trade him to the Florida Panthers. It's some like alternate universe type of thing. Seeing, like you mentioned, what a lineup when you have Sam Bennett, Brad Marchand, and potentially Keith Tkachuk in the playoffs. That is going to be such a pest of a line that can not only hurt your feelings, but hurt you on the scoreboard too. So overall, that was a crazy trade, one that I wish the Oilers could have made. Potentially the deal was there, but good on the Florida Panthers for acquiring what I feel is going to be a really big piece for them.
I already felt like the Florida Panthers would be the last team anyone would want to play come the NHL playoffs, because you said it there. Tkachuk, Bennett, they got big dudes all over the ice. They're a very physical team. They're always in the top 5 in the NHL in hits. And then you throw in the pest of all pests. I think it's funny that, Sam Bennett took Brad Marchand out of the playoffs last year with the little punch to the face while giving him the hit. But Brad Marchand, he knows what the game is. You don't hate the player, you hate the game. And he had an interview with Chaos before saying he's got no bad blood between anybody on the Panthers because it is just sports. People in the chat, Eric, they are a wagon. Jeff Skinner said, isn't he injured though? Yes. Matthew Tkachuk expected to be on the LTIR until the NHL playoffs. But you bring in Brad Marchand. I understand the team. You want to have Matthew Tkachuk for your stretch run as you get set for the NHL playoffs. But to be able to add him into your playoff roster just like that, when you brought in Seth Jones, you brought in Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk's playing ball just like Evander Kane ended up playing ball. So, Sasky Girl Oil fan says we don't play Florida this year again until the Stanley Cup final. Oh, Jeff Skinner, he said he meant Marchand. I'm not entirely sure about that one, Jeff Skinner. You let me know and you do some research in there for me. I appreciate you. But so you said there the Oilers in on Brad Marchand. There was another guy that apparently they were in on, but first, Mikko Rantanen, he was the big name. He was number 1 on Frank Saravalli's trade targets list all day long yesterday, and he gets traded to the Dallas Stars, the Edmonton Oilers opponent this evening. And yes, Mikko Rantanen will be making his Stars debut wearing number 96, just like Jake Wallman is making his Oilers debut. But the return for Mikko Rantanen, so the Carolina Hurricanes received Logan Stankoven, great young player who's been pretty damn good for the Dallas Stars since being called up to the NHL. 2 first-round picks in 2026 and 2028, 2 third-round picks in 26 and 27. And then the funny part is Mikko Rantanen immediately signs an 8-year, $96 million deal with an AAV of $12 million a season in Dallas, where there is no state income tax, right? So on the one hand, I think for the Stars, this is a massive pickup for them. Yes, they paid a hefty price in the 2 firsts and Logan Stankoven, as well as those 2 thirds. But you cannot sit here and tell me that team is not significantly better today than they were yesterday. And I'm sorry, sometimes you got to say, fuck them picks like the Los Angeles Rams and make a deal to try and compete for a Stanley Cup. Reminder, they were in the Western Conference Final last season, and they look pretty primed to make another run like that. The Carolina Hurricanes, for them, it's a solid return. It's a base-saving return, I would kind of say, and it's kind of clouded with disappointment, right? Because they want to make the big swing to acquire that big-name goal-scoring forward in Mikko Rantanen, just like they did last season with one Jake Guentzel. Now, Guentzel left in free agency, so the Hurricanes ended up getting literally nothing for him. They at least were able to save face here, trade Rantanen, get the 2 firsts, get Logan Stankoven, but the thing is that Rantanen immediately signs the deal with Dallas without ever stepping foot into the organization, into the Stars side of that building. And that's kind of the thing that last year Jake Guentzel wouldn't sign the deal either as well. And the Carolina Hurricanes continue to sit here, be a very, very good team, year in, year out kind of deal, they just cannot get one of those number one bona fide top 5, top 10 players in the NHL. A lot of good players, not really any elite. Sebastian Aho, very good. But Banger, I'm curious your thoughts for both sides here. The Dallas Stars loading up before the playoffs, and then the Hurricanes and this weird experiment. I give them credit because they took the swing, they tried it, and then they were able to get something back. But your thoughts on the biggest deal, maybe the top 2 biggest deal that went down yesterday?
Yeah, absolutely. It was absolutely kind of stunning. I thought maybe a deal wasn't going to transpire, but the fact that he chose Dallas, he must really think, other than the state tax, of course, but he must really think, hey, they have a good chance of contending for the cup. Their team is absolutely loaded, and I know we're going to get to the game a little bit later. I'm a little bit scared of the Dallas Stars top 9. They're absolutely stacked, and the Oilers played the Dallas Stars last year with Stuart Skinner in Game 6, holding on to that win with some big saves. Mikko Rantanen might be that difference for the Dallas Stars in that Game 6. He could be the difference maker, that game-breaking player that they might need to take it to that Game 7. So it's such a big deal for the Dallas Stars there. And for the Carolina Hurricanes, you feel bad for them because they traded a good player in Natchez there. And, you're hoping that Mikko Rantanen turns out. But they got some picks. I like Logan Stankoven. Hopefully that he could turn into a player for them because you kind of feel bad for him. So that sucks for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I see Maynard's in. He says not signing is the Rod Brindamore factor. At Rod the Bod. I mean, I'm not totally sure about that. But Bo's in. He says, if only we had the proper assets for Rantanen. Could you imagine? Well, I've been imagining all day long because Ryan Rishaug dropped the most casual bomb ever this morning. Pat, I believe we have the tweet here from Schauger himself, because what could have been for the Edmonton Oilers? I guess that there was some mutual interest between both of the parties. I'll read you the Rishaug tweet. It says, Oilers took a huge swing yesterday. Sources say Rantanen had interest in coming to Edmonton, and things were well down the path of an extension being agreed to. Dollars were north of what Dallas signed him for. In the end, the trade assets weren't there to get it done. Also sounds like they looked in on Ricard Raquel and Ryan Donato as well. Shout out, Pat, for pulling that one up there. But Schauger, boy, oh boy, you've put my brain in quite the tizzy today, because, I mean, it's a situation I never really thought the Oilers would get Mikko Rantanen. I thought it was more a fun rumor that had been started, and we at Oilers Nation were even peddling a little bit, but I guess there was some mutual interest between the two parties, saying that Rantanen very open to signing with the Edmonton Oilers. But as we all kind of thought, we knew the Oil, they weren't going to have the assets. They weren't going to have the prospects, probably not nearly enough picks. You look at the return that the Hurricanes got. I don't really think there's much that the Oilers could have given to be up at that kind of quality. They just simply didn't have the capital to make a swing like that. But that has not stopped me from dreaming all day, thinking about McDavid, Draisaitl, and Rantanen. Break glass in case of emergency when those guys need to go supernova. The Edmonton Oilers power play, what it could have looked like. I mean, it didn't happen, so there is no point on focusing on it, even though I've been doing it all day. But Panger, thoughts on what could have been here for the Edmonton Oilers? Like I mentioned, thought it was a pipe dream through and through, but apparently there was some reality to this. I wonder if Jake Wallman would have given Mikko Rantanen in 96, but we'll never know.
I'm like you. I thought that was an absolute pipe dream. There's no chance in hell that we could get Mikko Rantanen, add another $12-13 million on the books. There's absolutely no chance. But Stan Bowman was trying for it. He was making the pitch for it. That's incredible, because it says a couple things. That Stan Bowman isn't afraid to make bold moves. He's trying. He's trying to get Mikko Rantanen. That's a heck of a player to try to get. And the fact that, hey, at this point now, I'm hoping that his deal with the Dallas Stars turns out to be one of the worst deals in 2 years from now. I hope it sucks, because, it would have been nice to get him on the Oilers, but now I'm just kind of hoping for the worst for him on the Dallas Stars.
Oh, buddy, I am praying on his downfall now. Would have loved him, but now, brother, Please, you're the enemy of the state here in the Edmonton Oilers. Some people in the chat talking about it right now. I like this. Thank God Bowman did not without giving up the farm. And Bo here, that tweet proves to me that we have a real general manager now. He attempted it. Holland would never. You also saw the other part of that. Said he was kicking tires on Ricard Raquel, kicking tires on Ryan Donato. And so far with Stan Bowman, what I've seen him do since being the Edmonton Oilers general manager, I'm pretty thrilled. Obviously, there's the offer sheet drama. I don't know if anyone, how they would have dealt with that. His hands kind of tied when that happened. Fuck the St. Louis Blues for ever doing that to us. But he brings in guys, Kasperi Kapanen right throughout the year. Tried with John Klingberg. Granted, don't think it's really worked out so far, but I like that he's taken the swing. What he did with Wallman, what he did with Frederick, and Maximum Jones as well, because the joke I've been making is Trent Frederick was the throw-in in the Max Jones deal for the Edmonton Oilers because he was awesome. But Panger, curious your thoughts on the Oilers trade deadline this past week. Maybe you can give me a letter grade. Same thing goes for everybody in the chat as well. What did you think? Because I'm happy with it for the Edmonton Oilers. They're a considerably better team than they were a week ago. They filled some holes. What were the areas the Oilers lacked, right? And hitting, tenacity, your nastiness, getting some bottom six depth, maybe some scoring in there. Cannot wait to see Trent Frederick and what he can do all over this lineup. Who knows? Maybe he'll be in the top six, but he can also score in the bottom six. And I know it's only one game. We should definitely settle our expectations. We'll talk about it later. But Maximum Jones had an amazing Edmonton Oilers debut. And I was very surprised with the offensive touch that he showed. Great pass to Corey Perry, toe dragging through the defense. And then the big one was defenseman Jake Wallman, right? And he should step into the Oilers defensive core, immediately make them better. I think he is miles ahead of one John Klingberg. There you get a look at Jake Wallman's stats so far this season. 6 goals, 26 assists, 32 points in 50 games played, playing top pairing minutes for the San Jose Sharks. Look at that time on ice. 23-11 per night. The crazy thing is he's only -1 on this shittiest team in the entire NHL in the Sharks. That's the most impressive thing that I see on that stat board right there. Now, he isn't expected to play on the Oilers' top pairing tonight. He will play with one Troy Stetcher on the third pairing. We'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But I'm curious, Panger, thoughts on the overall trade deadline? How did the Oilers do? And then I know you wrote an article today about getting to know Jake Wallman, type of defenseman he is, what kind of person he is. So I'm curious what you had in there. But first, letter grade for the deadline.
Letter grade, I will say a B minus. So what is that, like 75% perhaps? If you tuned into my article on Trent Frederick, he was the guy that I wanted him the most. The guy hits, the guy fights. He has 41 fights in the AHL and NHL over the last few years. And over the last 3 years, he scored 43 goals. He has kind of having a down year this season, but he's got 43 over the last 3 seasons. He is exactly the type of player the Oilers need in their bottom six. I think they're going to be trying him in the top six, but he's the type of guy because he could hurt you, he could score, and he's like an expert level chirper. There's for instance, he was always mic'd up in Boston because he had like really good sound bites. And there was one time they're playing the New York Rangers and he absolutely crushed a guy into the boards, and he looked at the bench and he said, "Who wants some? Who wants some?" That is what I want on the Edmonton Oilers. He's going to score. He could put the puck in the net, and he's just going to bring some nastiness. So I really liked Trent Frederick. And like you said, you mentioned Max Jones. He had a heck of a game last game too. But the Jake Wallman. So Oilersnation.com, if you check it, I wrote some fun facts about him. I did some digging. He grew up playing with Connor McDavid. So when we say that Connor McDavid's really excited, he knows what Jake Wallman can do. He's a puck mover. He can pass the puck really well, and he could shoot the pill. His top shot this season is 99 miles an hour, which ranks him in the 95th percentile in the NHL. And just growing up, and he was a very accomplished college player, beat Jack Eichel in his first season in the Final Four, but also he just got better offensively the more he played. In his second season, he led all NCAA defensemen in goals, points per game, and game-winning goals. This guy knows how to shoot the puck. And the cool thing about it too, as well, is that he's got 32 points this season. 25 of those points are even strength. So he's going to increase the Oilers at 5-on-5. And he just seems like a late bloomer. He was drafted in the 3rd round, but year after year after year, Jake Wallman has gotten better offensively, and his points per game has increased. He's on a career high this season in points, which is going to be so good for the Oilers because they have a confident Jake Wallman in their lineup.
And Connor McDavid's excited. That's the only thing that matters about it, is that he's thrilled about the deal. But Jake Wallman, he's on my fantasy team. So this will be the first Oiler that I've had all season long. So I'm very excited for that. Let me know in the chat. Should we be wagering on a Jake Wallman 1+ point tonight? I know it's got a plus sign next to it. It's got some juice. Max Jones did it. Maybe Jake Wallman will find a way to do it. But there's some people in the chat asking for your trade deadline grades. Tobias is in. I give them a D. We still have crap goaltending. Can't believe people are still on this. Oilers were never going to make a goaltending trade at this deadline. It just, the market wasn't there for it. Some of the other holes they had, I think, were much more glaring. And I still do believe in Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard. In here, where is it? Daryl, B-. Should have gotten Carlo from Boston, a right-handed defenseman. I will be honest with you. That was I think the D-man that I wanted the Oilers to get. He's more physical, more nasty. He's the bigger body. That's your playoff style defenseman in Brandon Carlo. But Jake Wallman, he's got skills too. He's no slouch on the defensive end. I do think he is known more for his offensive capabilities, his puck moving. Jake Wallman himself today had a quote. I got it here. I use my skating. I feel like that's probably my biggest asset. And then shooting the puck, just like you said there, Panger, just giving the puck to them, the star players of the Edmonton Oilers, and making them do the work, and then just kind of getting open and doing my part, trying to fit in. So fit in as quickly as possible, and then the rest will fall. There he is, looking good in those Oilers colors. Another quote, I'm going to give it my all. I'm competitive. I love to win. Come on, baby. And Jake Wallman tonight, going to be playing on the 3rd pair with Troy Stecher on the left side. Now, don't expect that for where he's going to play, but Nobby, I'm kind of paraphrasing here. He said that he doesn't know if that's who he's going to be playing with, but with Matthias Ekholm out tonight, there's some need-to-know information as well that Wallman's going to be on the left side. He might even be moving over. We all know Chris Knobloch, a depth chart is just a simple recommendation because he's going to be changing that up throughout the entire game. There you get a look at it on your screen. Brett Kulak with Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse with Ty Emerson, Jake Wallman with Troy Stecher. But Nobby said you're missing a key guy like Ekholm. Everyone's going to be playing a little bit more. So he doesn't think that there's any hurry to saying this is who your partner is going to be and this is what you're going to have to do. All right, that was trade deadline talk. We are here for a pregame show because the Oilers are taking on the Dallas Stars for Hockey Night in Canada. So let's get into it with our need-to-know information, courtesy of our friends from Wilhauk Beef Jerky. Only the finest tasting meat products earn the Wilhauk name, made from sweet, sweet, sweet Alberta beef. Their jerky is aged, seasoned, marinated, and smoked to savory perfection. They gladly fill orders of any size, and you can find their jerky, sausage, and other products exclusively out of their Leduc location. All right, standings watch. The Oilers, that first place in the Pacific, it's slowly dwindling away. They're 6 points back of the Vegas Golden Knights, each with 62 games played. So people, stretch run here, 25% of the season left, 20 games to go, including tonight. The Oil do have a 5-point lead on second place over the LA Kings, but the Kings have 2 games in hand, so you can never really be that comfortable. I mentioned, and Pat kind of showed it there, the Oilers forward group expected to be the exact same as it was Thursday night, but unfortunately, Cam Dineen had to get taken out of this lineup. I thought he was surprisingly awesome Thursday against the Montreal Canadiens, but he was sent down. Jake Wallman going to be taking his spot, slated to play with Stetch there because Ekholm and John Klingberg will both remain out, both missing their second game in a row. Connor McDavid, though, he is officially back. Feels like March Connor McDavid, we know what he's going to do as he gears up for the playoffs. It's his highest point per game month out of his entire career. March has already kicked off pretty well. 5 points in 3 games, back-to-back 2-point games. Bordzy's bankroll is counting on one of those. He has 30 points in 22 career games against the Stars, and he had 10 points in 6 games in the Western Conference Final, most notably absolutely dog-walking the shit out of Miro Heiskanen for one of the best goals he's ever scored, and that is saying something. Leon Draisaitl, the other guy, the Hart Trophy winner, as far as I'm concerned, this season, he is currently riding a 13-game point streak, and with a point tonight, would tie his career high of 14 games. He has 11 goals, 20 points over that 13-game stretch. He also has 25 career points in 25 career games against the Stars. Then it's Stuart Skinner getting the start. Regular season, he's got a 2-3-0 record against the Stars, 304 goals against, 890 save percentage. But we all remember the NHL playoffs last year. The Western Conference Finals went 4-2-0 and had a 922 save percentage, which was capped off, like you mentioned earlier, Stuart Skinner in Game 6 of that series. The Oilers won 2-1. The third period was spent entirely in the Oilers' end, just peppering shots on Stu, non-fucking stop, and he stopped all of them. Had a great performance. So looking for that from our boy Stu Skinner tonight. The Dallas Stars side of things, damn good record, brother. 41-19-2, second in the Central Division. The crazy part is that 41-19-2 has them 8 points back of the Winnipeg Jets for first place in the Central Division. But overall, the Stars are third in the NHL. It goes Winnipeg, the Washington Capitals, and then the Dallas Stars. And them, they've been hot recently, 7-2-1 in their last 10 games played. They have now won 4 straight games, so come into Rogers Place on quite the heater. It started February 28th. They beat the LA Kings 6-2. They beat St. Louis 6-3, 4-3 over New Jersey, 3-2 in overtime over the Calgary Flames. And I mentioned they acquired Mikko Rantanen yesterday at the deadline, but that wasn't their only significant move because they also acquired Mr. Game 7, Cody Ceci, and Mikael Grenland back on February 1st. For that trade, it was a first-round pick and a third-round pick. So the Dallas Stars, they have emptied the cupboards when it comes to their draft capital. They are going for it this season. And I think that's a brilliant move to make because they have the roster, the forwards, the defense, the goaltending. They've got it all. And then with these trades, they were able to do it because the Stars have over $20 million in LTIR money right now. Tyler Seguin, Miro Heiskanen, and Nils Lundqvist. Seguin, $9.85 million. Heiskanen, $8.45 million. Lundqvist, $1.25 million. That adds up to $20.75 million in long-term injured reserve money, paying out the ass. And once again, no state income tax over there. Points-wise, Mikko Rantanen technically now leads the Dallas Stars in points. He has 62 games. But this Stars team is incredibly deep. Going through their player stats, I'm just like, I'm so jealous of this. Jason Robertson and Matt Duchene, they're right behind Mikko Rantanen. Robertson, 27 goals, 64 points. Duchene, 27 goals, 63 points. Wyatt Johnston, 23 and 59. Granlund is 15 and 52. Rupe Hintz has 25 goals. Evgeny Dodonov has 16 goals. Jamie Benn has 15 goals. Mason Marchman has 15 goals. Thomas Harley has 11 goals. I mentioned no Seguin, no Miro Heiskanen. Stacked doesn't even begin to describe it for this Dallas Stars team. And then continues on the goalie in the crease. Jake Ottinger, he gets to start 30-13-2 record, 242 goals against average with a 911 save percentage. And him, well, he's won his last 3 starts, and they've all been above a 929 save percentage, I do believe. A lot of things telling me here the Edmonton Oilers are going to be in tough tonight against the Dallas Stars. But here, let's get into my Sherwood Ford Giants storyline this evening, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giants, because they are hockey fans, helping hockey fans, free valet service for all Oilers Nation fans. Never visit the dealership again for car service. Get an exclusive swag package with every Nation Valet service booked online. Be automatically entered to win a monthly prize draw. Book online at SherwoodFord.ca. Oilers Nation fans, your hockey destination is Sherwood Ford. So throw in, if you have a storyline or a key to victory, because I think the Oilers are going to have to play pretty close to perfect tonight to beat the Dallas Stars. But my storyline is this is a playoff test. This will be a playoff-style atmosphere, late game, hockey night in Canada at Rogers Place, because the Dallas Stars, they were a wagon before the trade deadline. They're even more of a wagon now, and the Oilers could very easily meet them in the Western Conference Final once again this season. You said it, most loaded forward group in the NHL, incredibly solid back end, incredibly good goaltender in one Jake Ottinger, and the Oilers were able to beat them in 6 games in the NHL playoffs last season, but the Stars team is very dangerous. You can tell I'm very fearful, and it will be quite the playoff test. I guess I could say my key to victory, Panger, we were talking about this before the game. Nice. There's the head-to-head tail of the tape between the Oilers and the Stars, but my key to victory is it was a thing in that Western Conference Final, if you remember. You cannot be turning the puck over in the neutral zone because the Dallas Stars will kill you off the rush. It was a track meet for 6 straight games. Oilers Stars going up and down the ice. There is elite talent, elite offensive skill and scoring all over the ice, no matter who is on the ice. There's firepower, and I do think it's the team that takes advantage of the other one's mistakes that's going to be the victor here. So limit your mistakes. Also, limit your penalties. Pat, can you just pull that back up for one quick second? Because their special teams numbers, the PK, that's the best in the entire NHL. Their power play, come on, they're loaded. Curious, we're going to get a look at Mikko Rantanen on that power play as well. But you cannot be turning pucks over and allowing odd man rushes going back the other way, which the Edmonton Oilers, during that 2-week down spiral, I will say, post-Four Nations, that was arguably their biggest problem, turning pucks over and being shitty defensively, defending the odd man rushes. So throw them in the chat, Panger. I'm curious for you. You got a storyline or a key to victory tonight?
It's tough. Like you said, the Dallas Stars are absolutely stacked. And I saw in the comments, people were like, Bordzy, stop, you're scaring us. Reading off all those stats, I was looking at those too. The Dallas Stars are so deep. Their top 9 is probably the best in the NHL. And they just added, I can't call him a bona fide superstar, but he's a superstar in this league, Mikko Rantanen. He's a winner. He's a Stanley Cup winner too. And as mentioned, if you put him in the lineup last year against the Oilers in Game 6, he might have been the difference maker there. But a key to the game, they still have a little bit of a weakness. If the Oilers are going to win this game, if I was head coach Chris Knobloch, I'd say, hey, boys, dump it on the right side. Their right side defense, I know I loved Cody Ceci when he was here, but hey, we know that Cody Ceci has weaknesses. We know Lyubushkin's not a top-tier defenseman, and Matt Dumba isn't what he used to be. My key to the game is take everything to the right side because that's all their weakness.
Ilya Lyubushkin, Cody Ceci, and Matt Dumba. Yeah, you're right. You take a look at that. Cody Ceci, I love you. Love everything about you. I would hate to play in Game 7. But you bet your ass I'd be betting on you to score a goal. But that's a good point. Loaded forward group. Without your Heiskanens out there, they're going to be in tough. Essa Lundell, he's pretty good as well. So you got Harley and Lundell. Yeah, that'll be an interesting area. I hope Chris Knobloch is tuning into Pregaming right now because Panger letting the people know. Let's take a peek now. Patrick, pull it up for me. The projected Edmonton Oilers roster this evening as they take on the Dallas Stars. It's expected Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with Connor McDavid and Zachary Martin-Hyman, Vasily Podkolzin with Leon Draisaitl and Victor Arvidsson, Matthias Janmark with Rico and Brown Mark featuring Rico as I've coined them, and then it's Max Jones, Maximum Jones with Kasperi Cheeks-Klapanen. There's another nickname that we came up with as well, and Scory Perry. You see your decor there. My boy, Brett Kulak, top pairing minutes with Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse, playing with Ty Emberson, so he gets a boost as well. And then it's Jake Wallman, the new Edmonton Oiler, who will be wearing number 96, the first player to do so for the Edmonton Oilers playing with one Troy Stetcher because Matthias Ekholm and John Klingberg are both out. But I want to talk about Maximum Jones right now because he was incredible on Thursday night. He recorded his first point of the season on a nice stretch pass to Corey Perry. Said earlier, his toe drag through that Habs defense at one point, I think, shocked every single Edmonton Oilers fan and went, "Excuse me, brother. I apologize. I was not familiar with your game. I did not know that you could do that," because he's a big guy. He throws his body, but that was a nice touch. And I mean, maybe I shouldn't be surprised. He has 13 goals, 21 points in 38 games in the AHL this season. And in that game Thursday, like nothing crazy, 10-26 time on ice, 2 shots, 3 hits, 1 takeaway, had the 1 assist like I mentioned. But Oilers fans, we have a type. All right, we have a type of who we fall in love with. It's the bottom 6 guys that fight, throw their body, and occasionally chip in. We all love Vasily Podkolzin. We all love Klim Kostin and Max Jones. After 10 minutes and 26 seconds, we're all like, "Oh, he's the best." The joke I made, Trent Frederick, you're the throw-in, and then you allow me to make a great nickname like Maximum Jones. It's going to be awesome. But Panger, we all do need to severely lower our expectations and everything. This is a perennial bubble guy of an NHL roster, but I do like what he brought in. But I do think there's a level of first game in Edmonton. You're emptying the tank. You're going to do everything you can. And maybe that is his style of play. I really hope it is. But Panger, expectations, we should probably temper him a little bit.
Yeah, but like you mentioned, he had a good first game, 10 minutes, and he was just noticeable on every shift. But the one thing that he had in comparison to everybody else on the ice is that desperation. I mean, he's been playing in the AHL this season. He's been playing in the NHL the last few seasons. He was playing with that desperation. If he continues to play with that desperation in the next few games and down the playoff stretch, the Oilers will have found themselves a really good player. And I want to share this one thing. I found a scouting report on him, and it says that he was a first-round draft pick. He's 27 years old, 6'3", 220 pounds. Power forwards are kind of like late bloomers. So he's kind of in that age, about kind of a late bloomer. But he was projected to be a really good player. In his draft year, they said, if there's one 2016 draft prospect who skates angry but manages to look graceful in the process, it's Max Jones. So, I mean, that's kind of the way he looked. Chugga, 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 and then dirty little toey. It looked great. So he was hoping he could continue that in the next few games.
That's a man after my own heart. Skating angry right there. That makes me love him even more. And then, remember, that guy won a Memorial Cup with Evan Bouchard playing with the London Knights. I mentioned the last pre-gaming. There's been rumors that Bouchard's, I don't know, I guess, and once again, they're just rumors, but that there's maybe he's not as happy because a lot of his buddies, the younger guys, the McLeods, the Fogels, the Hollways were traded. Well, they brought in a good pal in Maximum Jones. So hopefully that helps our boy, Evan Bouchard. Speaking of new additions, I'm just curious to ask you, what are your expectations for Jake Wallman tonight and what he's going to do? I expect him to be on the left side. He can play the right side. We'll see what Nobby does to experiment. I mean, he was averaging 23 minutes a night, top pairing minutes for the San Jose Sharks. I do not expect that full time for the Oilers, but there is no Matthias Ekholm out there tonight. So everybody on the left side, Brett Kulak, Darnell Nurse, Jake Wallman, are going to be expected to do more. And we do know that he has the ability to play both sides. That's why the Oilers liked him, why they acquired him, because he's a versatile defenseman. I'm curious, what do you think of Jake Wallman tonight? How many minutes is he going to play?
I'm going to throw a guess and say about 1734. I know that he's penciled in on the third pairing right now, but I think Nobby will get the full blender out tonight just to see what his new shiny toy, what he has in his new shiny toy. I feel he's going to play on the special teams. And here's one thing. Jake Wallman, in the research that I've done with him, Evan Bouchard, he only has one power play goal on the season. And sometimes he does fumble the puck. In those instances when he's fumbling the puck, I feel the Oilers, if they need a different look with a left-handed shot, they could throw Jake Wallman out there to be like, hey, Bouch, take a minute to think about what you did and also to get a new look. And I think we might see that tonight if Evan Bouchard does falter.
That's a really good point, dude, because it was Coombsy on Thursday. I kind of mentioned that as well. But one thing about Bush, he makes a lot of errors, doesn't usually get benched a lot, and gets rewarded with power play 1 minutes. And I do think that's kind of by necessity because the Edmonton Oilers need him to go out there and be that power play quarterback. Ekholm Darnell can do it, but not nearly to the level of Evan Bouchard. Jake Wallman, interesting to see what he could do. We also know he's familiar with Connor McDavid. They appear to be boys, because let me say one more time, Connor McDavid's excited for Jake Wallman to make his Oilers debut tonight. But yeah, that could be interesting. Keep your eye on that. Who knows? Maybe some healthy competition will be the kick in the ass that Evan Bouchard needs so badly. But the other guy we mentioned there, Connor McDavid, I think we're getting the patented 97 performance night. I said it, Saturday night, hockey night in Canada, but I think he's going to be dipping into his bag of tricks. He had a little bit of a spiral there. Spiral, I will say, because the dude is still, forget what his point streak is right now, but it's insanely quiet point streak that we've been saying. He's been not playing well while putting up points in every single game. He has 5 in his last 3, 4 in his last 2. He's skating incredibly well, keeping the puck on his stick. He's also shooting the puck aplenty as well. Panger, Connor's gearing up for the playoffs right before our eyes right now.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think coming out of the Four Nations break, I think he was dealing with an illness. I think it was mentioned that everybody was a little bit sick. Hey, I mean, anybody think of when you're sick and you show up to work, you're not going to be 100%, right? And so what you've mentioned, we are seeing that Connor McDavid that we normally see. He's shooting the puck. I feel with the addition of Jake Wallman, finding him making that stretch pass on 5-on-5 is going to be nothing but good things. And overall, the trade deadline is passed. I feel everybody could be a little bit more calm, not gripping their sticks. You know, his line mates are probably a little bit more chill because, hey, I'm not on the trade block. So I think overall, Connor McDavid will bring it tonight. Hockey night in Canada, Saturday night. Let's go.
Bring it on, baby. He's heavily featured in Bordzy's bankroll. But let's check in with the starting goaltender report, brought to you by Sherwood Power Sports and Marine. Their price thaw event is going on right now with savings on motorcycles, boats, and ATVs. They're also headed to the Edmonton Boat and Sportsman Show, March 20th to the 23rd. So come on down to that. Check them out. View them. They're going to have a dedicated booth to fish and tackle equipment as well. Edmonton Boat and Sportsman Show. You can find some really sick toys there. And as I always tell you, Power Sports Marine, dude, they got everything sick that you could ever imagine in there. For the last time I said adult toys. That was a bad choice of words. But you know what I mean when I'm trying to say that. They got quads, scooters, e-bikes, boats. They got literally everything. Pat, throw it up for me. Tail the tape between the two goaltenders this evening. Jake Ottinger, he's pretty good. You know, I don't want to sell my boy down the river here, but Liam, he's a good sport and he can laugh about it. He did have a take earlier this year saying that Stuart Skinner better than Jake Ottinger and could possibly be owed more money than Jake Ottinger. That one kind of came back on us this season, shooting from the hip. When you give takes professionally for a living, you're going to be wrong a couple times. But Ottinger had a little bit of a down season last year, 905 save percentage. He's back up to a 911, but 30, 13, and 2. He's been damn good, dude. And then there's Stuart Skinner, 21, 15, and 4. Not a great record so far, 2.84 goals against with an 898 save percentage. I love that Pat has kept the asterisks next to his 2 shutouts all season long because it should be 3 of them, but they decided not to give him credit for that. Stu was big in the Western Conference Finals last year against Dallas, so hopefully he can tap into that. Said it earlier. He had a 922 save percentage in that series. Game 6, he had a 971. He stopped 33 of 34, stood on his goddamn head in the third period of that game. Panger, the Oil, they're going to need that Stuart Skinner tonight, I think.
Absolutely. And you know what? We've heard it all season. You know, Stuart Skinner can't make the big save. And whenever I think about people say, hey, get rid of Stuart Skinner, I think about that game 6 wholeheartedly. He was the sole reason that the Oilers won game 6. I feel, you know what? And I mentioned the trade deadline has passed. Maybe they could have been remotely 10% looking for a goaltender. I feel if you're an NHL player that doesn't have a no movement clause, maybe you're a little worried. perhaps that's gone. That could settle Stuart Skinner's nerves. Now all he needs to focus on is the playoff stretch, getting into the playoffs. I think he's going to have a big game tonight.
That's a pretty good point there as well, that, yeah, you're only human. We heard it also on the DFO show yesterday. I loved it. We had be able to break up the show with stories from ex-players about their trade deadline experiences. Just sounds like everybody's walking around on eggshells and is so full of anxiety and so nervous that day at the rink. It was pretty interesting to hear about. Jake Ottinger, he's the other guy there, 8 years, $66 million deal, signed, sealed, and delivered this October. He's made the Dallas Stars look pretty good. This team is going to be very good for a very long time when you think of the young dudes that are signed to long-term deals. Wyatt Johnston just officially inked a 5-year extension earlier this morning, and he's 21 years old right now. That blows my fucking mind every time I think about it. Ottinger, though, he has won his last 3 games, and he's had above a .929 save percentage in all of those games. Jake Ottinger is going to be pretty tough to beat tonight. Oilers in your A game. Get him off his game. Get in that blue paint. Give him some slashes. Give him some whacks. That's all you can really do when a goalie's in the pocket. He's feeling it. He's in a good run. He's got to physically get in his kitchen and get in his head. Let's go now to the Dallas Stars lineup report brought to you by Greta Bar Yeg. Because, people, we are 7 days away from flight night down at Greta, presented by Fountain Tire and in support of the Ben Stelter Foundation. But come on, head to nationgear.ca. Get your $10 ticket to come down to Greta on a Friday night where I'm pre-gaming with Bordzy and Coombsy. I'm going to be hosting the event. We got After Dark as well. It's a Friday night. Greta just did $100,000 worth of renovations this past week. They just opened it back up on Thursday night. I still have yet to be, so I'm excited for that on Friday night. And you, if you come there, you get your $10 ticket. You can then be entered into the Oilers Nation trivia round. I believe that's how we're going to do this. And you could win a trip for you and a guest to come on the Nation vacation at the end of the month. Not only party with me, not only party with Brett, Tyler, Kennedy, Jay, Bag Milk, the entire team, but I am proud to report that Sean Pangini is coming on the Nation vacation, and he's going to be getting silly with the boys. Banger, how excited are you for the Nation vacation?
Oh, man, I'm so stoked. I am absolutely stoked. It's the only thing I'm really looking forward to in the next little bit here, so I'm super pumped. You guys need to get to Greta, especially with those new renos. I'm stoked to see that, so get out there, try to win a flight, and we're going to have some good times on that trip.
If you've ever wanted to meet all of Bordsy's friends, I think they're all coming on Friday night, because I said you can win your way on the Nation vacation. And come on, $10 ticket that you can get into that and have the greatest time of your life in Sin City with the ON team. It's going to be fantastic. Pat, pull it up for me here, the projected Dallas Stars lineup. It's Jason Robertson with Rupe Hintz and Mikko Rantanen expected to wear number 96. Second line, Mason Marchment with Matt Duchene and Mikhail Granlund. Jamie Benn with Wyatt Johnston and Evgeny Dodonov. Who does that say there? Oscar Back. Sorry, my eyes are bad. With, nice, Pat. God, I love you. With my boy in Strathcona County's own Sam Steele. Shout out to him, as well as Maverick Bork. And then your decor, we showed it earlier. Thomas Harley with Ilya Labushkin. Essa Lindell with Cody Ceci. And Lian Michelle with Matt Dumba. So we only got a couple minutes here left. So, Panger, I'll just let you say, give me a player to watch that isn't Mikko Rantanen, because obviously our eyes are going to be glued to him all night long. But give me a player to watch in the Dallas Stars forward group, because I went through their goal scoring numbers earlier. It is insane. They have depth on depth on depth. But give me a player here that you think could be dangerous against the Oilers tonight.
Wyatt Johnston. I love that kid. He's a quick guy, good shot. Just signed a contract. So, hey, he's probably like, hey, I'm going to prove my contract on Saturday night to you guys here. And what's crazy about it is that he signed like $8 million a year, and he's playing on their third damn line. He's their third line center, and he makes $8 million a year, and he's playing on their third line. So he will be my player to watch for the night, because I like him. He's a good player. And the one thing after last season, he said people interviewed him and said, hey, say one good thing about the Edmonton Oilers. And he said something along the lines of, they're a damn good team. So he showed respect to the Oilers last year. I like that kid.
Game respects game. I appreciate that, Wyatt Johnson. Also, so he's making $8 million when he's at the age of 22? No state income tax as well. Damn it, that sounds nice, Wyatt. I'd like to be there. Also, Sam Steele, he just got an extension as well. A well-deserved extension for the former Fulton Vale Firebird, where I went to elementary and junior high.
Nice.
Sam also won the turkey trot. I was like 3 years older than him, and he beat me turkey trots at that as well. He was different from day one, and damn it, he's doing great in the NHL. For me, I think I'm going to go with Matt Duchene because, dude, he's had a sneaky good year. I mean, 25 goals, 38 assists, 63 points in 62 games. He's a point-per-game player. Bosch says it too. Duchene, so dangerous. Final buzzer says Marchment. There's so many people that you could mention in this Dallas Stars lineup, but I'm going to go with those guys for sure. Central Division, pretty damn stacked, but let's go now to Bordzy's Bankroll, brought to you by Bet365. Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win is a barn burner. Every face-off, hat trick, power play, shot on goal, penalty shot, and every suspenseful minute in between is amazing. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Bet365 is an official partner of the NHL. Download the app today. Use the code NATION to get in on the game. Must be 19 years or older. Please play responsibly. Hit it for me here, Patrick, because we're going with Connor McDavid to get over 1.5 points at plus 105. You put a plus sign next to McDavid and 1.5. I'm going to smash it more often than not. He's hit this in 2 straight games. He has 11 goals, 30 points in 22 career games against Dallas. I said 10 in 6 games last year in the Western Conference Final. They played earlier this season. The Stars beat them, pretty much owned them. Connor McDavid had 1 assist in that game as well. The other one, also Connor, to get 3 shots on goal, minus 155. He's hit this in 3 straight games. He had 3 shots on goal in the last meeting, but he had 23 shots in 6 games in the Western Conference Final. That's 3.83 per game. And then in his career in those 22 games, regular season, 79 shots for 3.59 per game. All I need is 3, so I'm feeling pretty good about that as well. And then going with Boosh. He only had 2 in the last game, but I'm letting it ride. Over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 115. Hit this 3 of his last 4 in his career. Averages 3.2 shots per game against Dallas. So once again, I'm hoping for an average. And in the first meeting, Bush had 5 shots on goal as well. I've said it all season. He's hit this in over 50% of his games this year. Might not feel like it, but he has been. It's kind of weird. All 3 of these played together, plus 450. Do so responsibly. Do so if you're 19 years or older, and only bet what you're willing to lose. Panger, you look at these bets. Which one do you like the most?
Oh, first I gotta say, Bordzy's throwing all these stats, and I think it's my turn to be like, nerd. No, I'm just kidding.
When it comes to gambling, I will turn out.
That is phenomenal, because I like the one that he said about the Western Conference Final, like the 3.8 shots. I like the overshots on the 2.5 there. That is insightful stats there, Bordzy. I like that.
Bordzy, he does have brains somewhere up there. Doesn't come out very often, but usually in the Bordzy Bankroll segment. All right, that'll do it for us for pre-gaming. Shout out to Panger for joining me. And thank you for letting us do it at home. I think Pat and I were both a little exhausted after what went down yesterday. It's a late one, but people, we will be live right after the game for Oilers Nation After Dark. Throw down your courtesy like here. Get in the chat during the game. I love watching you guys all talk, chirp, be frustrated, celebrate together, whatever it is, we do it together, damn it. Big shout out to our sponsors, Sherwood Ford the Giant, Power Sports Marine, Greta Bar Yegg, Bet365, Willock Beef Jerky. Come to Flight Nights and have an excellent, excellent game day experience here. I hope you win all your bets. We'll talk right here on the ON YouTube right after the game. Good luck, everybody. Peace out.